This is what we're going to be handling today, and it's going to take a very short time. You can always ask your question as much question as you want. So I'm going to quickly do it, and you can ask a question at the end. User stories and acceptance criteria. What is a user story? So in Agile, a user story is an Agile tool that is used to break down projects or an idea, a problem to be solved, or a function in the user's perspective. So it is a tool in an agile software development used to capture description of its software, the software feature from a user's perspective. So it is more of saying, describing a particular feature of an application or a dashboard from the end user's perspective, from the person who is going to use it. That's what user story is all about. You describe the story, you describe the feature, you write a story about the feature based on the way the person who is going to use it will use it, so that it becomes easy for the developer to develop it with that in mind. So let's take example on how to write user story. So a user story, we take this approach as we talk about the role, who, what do you want to do? That's the action you want to take, so that what is the benefit you are expecting? Again, I will take it. The format our user story will take is as whoever you are that wants to use it, a data analyst, the head of business intelligence, the head of marketing, the restaurant owners, whoever that wants to use it. As you mentioned the person's name or the role. What I mean name is the position, not like the person's name, like full name or last name or surname. No, the person's position or role. What do you want to do? The action you want to perform. Action you want to perform, so that what do you want to see after the action, like the result, the benefit. So in this case, as a data analyst, you can replace it with anybody's name, any role. I want to connect and extract sales data from the point of sales system. So as to ensure real-time updates on the dashboard. That's how the user wants to, that's how you, the data analyst, wants to go about it. You want to, as a data analyst, you want to connect and extract sales data from the point of sales system, so as to ensure real-time updates on the dashboard. That's what you want to do. That's the benefit of what you want to do. All right. So that's the user story. The acceptance criteria is also an agile tool. What does it do? It's used to refer a set of predefined requirements that must be set to make a user story complete. We have done the user story, but there has to be the requirement that needs to be taken so that we can say this user story is complete, and that is acceptance criteria. And in this, we use the method called BDD. Or some will call it Gherkin's syntax. BDD stands for behavioral driven development. Behavioral driven development. So it's from the concept of the behavior of the user. That's how this particular feature will be developed. All right, so that's how we're going to be using this BDD method to write the acceptance criteria for this user story. So the way you go it's given is a precondition. It's a precondition that you need to meet. It's not everybody that wants to write the acceptance that will do that we implement this. So, or that we use this. So given that you are in a position to use this, which is given that I am a data analyst, then what happens? When I integrate sales data from multiple sources, I want to integrate sales data from multiple sources. And if there is another condition that needs to be made, and the integrated data should cover a time frame of at least 1 year, what will you expect to see by the time you're able to do that? This is action you want to perform. This is a precondition. And then this is what you expect, the expected results. Then the dashboard should display consolidated data from at least 3 sources. Again, precondition. It is a precondition. This is the action you want to take. After taking the action, what were you expecting? The result you're expecting is here. Between any of them, you can put and. So some school of thought says you're given between giving, when, and then, that can be and anywhere. Some said no, it shouldn't be like that. It should be, the and should just be here, and then here we have this like this. The when after the precondition should come the and, then the action and the result. Some say it doesn't really make sense that way. How about we have the precondition? We have the when. Now, in the course of the action that you took, you can still take multiple actions. So you can take a lot of other actions, as many as possible. And of course, you'll be seeing some things before you do the final, before you see the final results. Some said, well, you can actually have it this way. Given, when, multiple actions, if you like, then another, the result plus another result. There is no, how do I put it? There is no fixed rule to this. It's not rigid. Personally, I prefer this. Please choose what makes your English make sense so that the user, the developer, will be able to understand what you're doing. So the English will kind of need to make sense. If I need, why do I choose to use this? If I need to do any other, see any other thing after the result, I can put it as an additional information. I put it as additional information. Yeah. And don't forget that after the additional information, you can have your mockup. You can have your mockup. That shows what you want to do. It's a high level, not so beautiful. You can sketch it on paper, what you are expecting to do. Just sketch it on paper and put it so that the developer will look at it and implement it. So in this scenario, You as a data professional, you are writing your story and you are also developing it. But of course, the testers will test it for you. But you are writing your story, you're developing. The BS are writing the story, they are not developing. The developer will develop and the testers will test. So this is what I use. I will recommend, but you are free to write your story in a way it makes sense to you using this BDD method or Gherkin's syntax. So that's it about it. Do we have any question on this?
That Gherkin's syntax, I didn't get it.
So this Gherkin syntax is behavioral driven development, trying to develop an application from the perception or perspective of the user, the end user. From the perspective of the end user, that's what it is. And the syntax is a precondition given. You need to meet this precondition. Like, so you are the data analyst, the QS will not be the one to extract the data. So you cannot put the QS here. So remember, this is the users, it's the role of the user. It could be the restaurant owner, it could be a business owner, but this is built based on who is going to use it. Then what you're going to do, like the action you're going to take, after the action, what is the result you're expecting? So for us in this part, as the data professional, you are the data analyst who wants to integrate the data. When I integrate sales data from multiple data sources or multiple sources, and the integrated sources should cover a time frame of at least 1 year, you can choose not to even put this and here and put it in additional information. You can put it in additional information if you like. Then what will be the result? Then the dashboard should display consolidated data from at least 3 sources. Now, this method you're seeing here is not cast on stone. Some people don't use Gherkin's syntax. They still write their user story. But look, they still write a user story and acceptance criteria. But look at it from this perspective. From the user perspective, it kind of makes sense and it makes it easier to understand. When the developer wants to develop it, the developer will have that in mind. Ensure that this acceptance criteria is met, because that's what makes the user story acceptable or the user story complete. So is it clear, Abis?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question here? Because we will be writing stories. Any other question here? All right, so I take it that we are good. Hello, Fatima. I take it that we are good with this.
Yeah.
All right. So let's explain the last part of this. There are some conditions you need to take into consideration when writing a user story. And that criteria is what we call invests. Good user stories are invests. What does this mean? Invest stands for independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, and testable. Please, it should be in your CV. Invest criteria. That's how you used to write your story. So invest criteria is a set of criteria used to assess the quality of a user story. So if the user story fails to meet one of these criteria, the team may reward it or break it down further. So invest criteria is meant to make sure that a user story is independent. So the story could be developed independently of other stories. That's what the first I stands for, independent of other stories. They are standalone. Negotiable, yes, it needs to only capture the essence of users' need. It needs to only capture the essence of users' need. That's what negotiable means. So a user story is a reminder to have a user story is a reminder to have a conversation. In that conversation, the team negotiates the concrete solution. I want parts. The story may be enhanced or rewritten. So it's a situation where you look at it with even the developer and say, okay, this story did not, I think it's so big, or perhaps we can break it down further. This story did not meet, like it's not really making sense, or it's not telling the real story of the end user. It's not really capturing what the end user would want in this application. So for it to be for it to meet the negotiable part, it only needs to capture the essence of the user's needs. And if it captures it, then no need to negotiate again. We move on to the next one. And that is, it needs to be valuable. It delivers value to the end user. That story, remember, it's independent. It's a feature that you want to develop. So it needs to deliver value to the end user. It is also estimable, which is E. It should be estimated and prioritized. You know, during the Scrum ceremony when we estimated a story. So it's still a user story should be estimated or estimable and can be prioritized. The next one is a small. A user story should be small. It should be a small chunk and completed within 2 to 3 days. That is within a sprint. That way you say this story it actually meets the invest criteria. And of course, the last one is can be testable. The QAs will look at it and say, yes, this story can be testable. To them, it meets the definition of done to them. So we use the invest criteria to ensure that we bring this story to the smallest part, and they are all independent of the other. They can be done independently. That's it about invest criteria. And as you start writing, you need to start making reference to this. Does my story respect or meet the invest criteria? If it doesn't, you may have to look into it. All right. So